Hello. Thank you for joining us for another Free to Speak and Think podcast. Today we have on again Brian Macdonald, or Coach O'Bubby. Today we'll be talking about everything from mental health to life coach stuff to politics at one point in there to institutions and really finding your own path and a better way forward. So anyway, go ahead and take it away, Brian.
Okay. I did the same job again, same exact thing. Third job in that field, right? I did therapy. I interned in therapy in between these jobs, and that felt decent, but still not that great because I'd be like saying things and my mentor would be like, oh, you can't say those things. We'll get sued. It's like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. Well, it's, I made this point with you in the last video we did. As a therapist, if you go out and you say, hey, you're really depressed all the time, exercise is good for you. They go outside to exercise, they get hit by a car, you get sued because you indirectly told them to go outside. Going outside got them hit by a car. You got them hit by a car, pay up big money. So it's like, okay, I just quit that field. My third big job that I had for a long period of time, I worked in a dementia ward with seniors with dementia. I had to close dead people's eyes before rigor mortis sit in. I had to get abused by seniors that were World War II veterans who did not understand what was happening, and they would panic when I would try and clean their mess up or shower them from defecating themselves. They would punch me in the face and assault me. They would say things to me. I would watch people mentally fall apart and suffer. I don't know if you saw Squid Game. Did you see Squid Game?
Actually, no, I haven't. I've seen parts of it or
gosh. There's a scene where they're close to the end and they're playing a game of marbles, and it's the main character versus the old man whose number is 1, and he's very clearly got severe signs of dementia and memory loss. And the main character's losing the game, but the guy's losing his mind, and he's like, oh, did you win or lose? And he's like, I won. And if he said he lost, which was true, he would be killed immediately. But he goes, no, I won. And the guard with the gun pointed at him was like, you can cheat. We're not supposed to tell you not to cheat, but if he finds out, then I have to enforce it. But he couldn't remember. So he cheated through the dementia to kill the old man. And the old man's basically like, the gun's pointed at his head, and he's so dissociated. He's walking around in this area going, oh, this was my home. My kid would come here and play. And then he starts talking to the main character like he's his kid, and like, oh, I love you so much. Thank you so much for, spending time with me. I've missed you so much. And the main character is just like mentally just destroyed by this experience, walks away. And the old man's like smiling like, oh, it's so nice to be home. And he gets shot in the back of the head. And it's like this, I saw this scene and I was like crying for like 5 minutes. It actually like emotionally messed me up so bad that the other people in the house watching it with me like paused and was like, do you need help? Like, what is happening? Like you are like ruined by this scene. I have severe emotional damage from working in this field for $14 an hour. I have to close dead people's eyes. And it's minimum wage to do this type of field. Mental health is a zero existence factor in work. Yeah. Nobody gives a living crap about mental health in anything. Nobody gives a crap about mental health in prisons. Hey, break their mental health by putting them in isolation so they shut up and obey. Permanently scar and destroy people's lives by locking them in a pitch black room alone for 10 days. Psychological torture on par with what we do in war to people. I mean, but it's okay because institutionalization,
military school. Kids. Yeah, it's literally
military. Break people's psyches and reconstruct it in a way we need, where they'll never be fixed when they come back from war.
As much physiological abuse as someone can tolerate or more, just so they are nothing but a robot and a yes or no sir, and then we expect them to come back and readjust into society,
and if they don't fit the exact confinement of what and construct of what we've created, outcast them and get rid of them. Brand them as weird or psychos or just whatever you want to use. They're the bad members of society. They don't function in society. They're bad people. They don't want to just get a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday, shut up and do it. They're a bad person. Get them out of here. There's something wrong with them. Well, there is something wrong with them. What you've done to them and your institutionalization.
Yeah, maybe there's something wrong with everyone else that goes along with a 9 to 5 system that's just normal, that you
That's
have
what I think.
you have a 7 hour, you go to school at 7 or 8 in the morning, you get off at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, you had a half an hour lunch, you're told to sit down at a desk the entire time, do as you're told, and do it as I tell you to do it, and I'm going to give you a grade, and that grade is going to determine your entire self-worth and potential in this field of life.
And then gain independence when you graduate and choose to do it while putting yourself in massive debt in college to maybe benefit from it in some kind of way.
It's so bad now. I mean, I thought it was bad when I was there. It was just normal for those who graduated, again, equal outcome, those who graduated to graduate with about $38,000 to $40,000 in debt, regardless of financial institution, regardless of success for parents or business or anything else. That just everyone who went in and came out and graduated, did exactly what they needed to do, came out with $38,000 to $40,000 in debt, regardless of if that was fair. Like for an individual will know, but it's fair that everyone comes out exactly in the same bad position. And
it's fair because we all suffer together. Not the people who we owe money to. They're not suffering.
Yeah. I mean, it's the fact that we expect everyone to be the same. If you're weird, you're wrong. If you're weird, you're different. If you're weird, you don't belong. Go away, sit down, shut up, get out of here, and stop talking. I'm going to cancel you. I'm going to censor you. I'm going to take away your platform. I'm going to take away your family. I'm going to take away your job. I'm going to take away all credibility you ever had because of something you said 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to get political with the pro-Trump or anti-Trump debate that people have nowadays. I mean, that's the point of speaking on here.
No, I mean, but that's the reality of our situation that we live in is that we're trapped in this cycle that everyone is now subjected to, regardless of if it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter because everyone has to navigate it.
Yeah, the fact that we judged a president's candidacy based on a small period of time where they were a reality TV show superstar comedian is insane. Trump was on TV and did these things as a joke to make people laugh and pull in views. And we are using this as a legitimate argument to impeach the president who was doing a fine job and not breaking any kind of laws than any other president. He's not Nixon. He's not breaking the law.
Yeah.
Some of us just don't like him. So let's impeach him for things he did while he was a stand-up comedian.
Even in terms of foreign policy, no one can talk bad about his foreign policy. They can only talk about his rhetoric about his foreign policy. And it's like, well, yeah, because you said something I didn't like about them or something that, because you didn't phrase it perfectly, because you aren't PC, you don't belong here. Because you're trying to change uproot the status quo, because you're trying to give power and freedoms back to the people, you don't belong here. And it was a unified attempt to prove that we are in control. We're going to take him out. We're going to put him in, who has absolutely every potential to destroy everything, and remind you that you need us.
Well, yeah, it's the concept of, imagine you were a comedian for 6 months and it's on videotape for the rest of your life. Anything you can do is discredited because you're a comedian for 6 months at one point and you made some racist jokes.
Yeah, it's
your life is just over.
Comedy is knowing when. It's when you can make certain jokes, when you can't, when you can, like when you should say anything.
Nobody hated him when he was a comedian.
Yeah, and actually he was loved in the environment. He was talked about. He was, celebrity. He was in everything, like on everything, and then all of a sudden hated like that. Politics is what it is. It's a blackmail is the currency, and that effect. The reality is that affects. Yeah. That's true.
It's the same concept with the cancel culture, because we've talked about cancel culture several times. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about cancel culture, it's essentially conforming culture. We just kind of give it a name because you're canceled on the internet, even though it's canceling you in real life. There's an episode of Black Mirror, which I believe is now like a Netflix original, or it might just be a show that's on Netflix. I think it has a little in on it. But it does a bunch of dystopian future theories of how like the world can go based on technology or, past experiences and this and that. One of the episodes is kind of social media divulges much further and it kind of dictates the world. And there's a cancel button on people. So you can be like, screw this person. I hate this person. You can point your little, media chip in your head and pull up a screen in front of you. You look at them, it pulls up their name, and you go cancel. They're now a fuzzy blob, and when they talk, it goes and you can't hear anything they say, and they're just a little fuzz. So and you can just go, I'm mad at my husband, so blocked for a week. And when the week is over, you can just hit the button and he comes back. And it's like, if they interact with you while they're blocked, it's considered harassment and you'll go to jail for interacting with somebody who you're blocked. You can't see anything they say and they can't see anything you say. It's a two-way street. And so this guy gets blocked and he just starts losing his mind because it's like such a stupid misunderstanding, the concept of just being blocked by this person who's so important to him. And he can't even explain what happened to try and clarify this nonsensical situation that's just absurd. I don't remember the situation, but imagine like you're meeting your wife at a hotel and you open up the hotel room and a naked woman just runs out of hotel room and your wife sees this and she's like, you're sleeping with that woman. You're like, I just showed up. You can ask the desk manager, like, I've been here for 2 minutes. I can find the videotape. Like, I don't know why there's a naked woman in this room. They gave me a key to the wrong room. Like, I don't know what happened. And your wife goes, oh, that's kind of crazy. But in this society, she sees the naked woman comes out, fuck you, blocked. And you're just blocked. And it's over. It's over. Everything that you and they were that ever existed, it's done forever until they hit the unblock button. And even if they do, you can block them back. So he at one point does that. She's blocked him and he goes to block her and he can't. And he's like, I can't even block her back. And then he finally figures out a way to block her back. And then he's like, well, did she unblock me? He unblocks her and he still blocks. So reblocks her later. Well, did she unblock me? Unblocks her. No, I'm still blocked. Reblocks her. It's like, why are you even blocking her then? If you're just doing it out of an angry response back. That's what social
media is.
That's like literally what we actually are doing today. That is actually what we're doing today.
I don't want to hear what you have to say. Like, you're no longer my friend, even though like we were great friends when our interaction was not solely limited to online. And like, we're family members and it's never been a problem. And now because I posted one post or because I shared a meme or a tweet or whatever, therefore I never want to talk to you again. I'm embarrassed to have ever been associated with you. And then it's like, and then you're
forget blocked, my name.
And it's like no opportunity to even say, huh? Wait, hold on. I missed something. Like something like what? You just don't even get that opportunity because people are creating their own associations, which I mean, sure, you have the freedom to do that. You don't have to talk to someone you don't have to talk with. You don't have to work somewhere you don't want to work. Like, we have that power, but the social media influence of how much it affects our minds and how much it changes and just comes in and disrupts things that were so natural and normal and okay and good are now just bad, terrible, horrible, destroyed. Forget about it, cast them out because I can't emotionally handle seeing something I don't like. I'm offended. Like even the term offended is so prideful, is so arrogant. You're offended.
The power that the word offensive holds nowadays is insane.
I can be offended that my stomach is hungry when I wake up in the morning. I don't want to eat. I don't have the money to eat. It's so absurd that like offended, it hurt my feelings. Therefore, you can't do it. Anything I say at any point could be found offensive by someone somewhere in the world at some point in human history or future. Like, so does that mean that everyone just can't say anything at all? Can't go anywhere, can't do anything, can't have hobby, can't be different? Like, you being weird, you not being normal offends me. The fact that you raised your hand even is just so makes me uncomfortable.
I'll raise my hand. I do have something to say on that though. Here's the worst part of that entire thing. It's a one-sided street because we choose who can be offended and who can't. Cancel culture.
Yep.
We have defined, LGBTQ community can be offended about anything they want.
Historically disadvantaged
minorities. Straight people, they can't be offended by anything.
Yeah.
No, white
Racism
people can't be offended by anything black people do.
Yeah.
But black people can be offended by white people existing and post on the internet I wish all white people would die. Well, I understand.
Well, it's double standards have been normalized. Hypocrisy is, it's tolerated in one way, but not in the other. And it's like this doesn't lead to a better society. This leads to a polarized society because you are intentionally, by design and directly, disenfranchising vast numbers of the public. And if you don't go along with everything that we say or every law that we want to pass or everything we want to push through, it's going to take away everything you've ever worked for or owned or built or any freedom that you have. Like, how dare you state something that we teach you in school in biology? How dare you say that that's fact? I mean, even when you talked about like a therapist or a counselor or in mental health saying that, or a doctor saying that if you exercise, it might contribute to a better overall health.
So you're calling me fat.
You need to consume less calories and you need to burn off more energy that will then create a healthier lifestyle that will allow your body to stay healthy.
And literally produce more endorphins in your body and melatonin. So you anatomically proven will be happier and sleep better, which are your two problems.
That offends me. How dare you say something that's true, that's proven by science, that's proven by evidence? We have thrown tens of billions of dollars or hundreds of billions of dollars or more into researching and identifying what's true just to say, well, it's not true for me. Because clearly one person stating
it really is that
truth,
simple.
It's not true.
It's not true for me.
Like, honestly, what is and this is not to, again, I have to preface this, how absurd this argument is I could just say I'm now going to identify as this tomorrow, and then society must accept me, and I have lawsuits, and I have, they must change it. They're not even allowing like health records, birth records to be changed because someone later identifies as something different. And that's literally how they will treat you. Say like you're unconscious and you go into like a surgery room, they'll treat you based on this or that. And I could just decide differently. I could feel something today and then feel something differently in a week or in a year or tomorrow, like claim it today and then tomorrow feel differently. And like, now is there societal pressure to, who made you change back? It's a
road that has no ending.
You must accept what I say at every single moment, and it changes, but it can't change, but it is fluid, and therefore nothing is true and everything is true. We can't say the truth is not allowed anymore. Thoughts are not allowed anymore. And I don't want this podcast to be something that is divisive. My goal for it is to bring value, is to add value to people's lives in ways that they can take responsibility and hold of their own life and potential and choose to grow and learn and extract value from it. Maybe there's some things that you don't agree with. That's totally fine. I'm not saying I agree with everything either. That's not the point. The point is to find some degree of value and to understand that we as humanity have a lot more in common than we're being convinced of, either by institutions, by government, or by social media, or by ourselves.
Yeah, I think the most important subject I can talk about tonight is we're being told what to value instead of having a choice of what to value in every aspect of our life now. Even political matters, if we choose to not care about a political matter, then we're part of the problem. It's not even like, well, I'm just working too much and balancing my wife, kids, and work. I don't want to get involved. If you're not helping, you're also part of the problem. It's like, you accidentally mess up a pronoun. You're not taking time out of your day to study the 27 pronouns we're now using.
27, 56,
and going out of your way to ask first.
Yeah.
Is it they? Is it they? Is it he? Is it she? Yeah. Is it we? I mean, I went on Facebook yesterday and there's somebody whose profile says he, they, she. Are you just letting me say any of them so I just can't be wrong? Because that's kind of cool. That's the best side of it, where I just can't be wrong anymore. You can't be right. But then at the same time, is it like, or are you making it to where I can't be right because he, they, she? How do I ever get that right? And if I say she and she goes, well, I'm he right now. Oh, sorry, he. No, I'm a they right now. It's like I'm just gonna go with the benefit of the doubt and say if they have all three there, they just identify by all of them, and you just don't have to worry about it.
Well, how dare you? But at the same time,
but now I'm assuming, yeah. So now I'm assuming. So I'm in the wrong. I'm losing. But we're being told what to value, and value goes much further than just the basic meaning of that word. Because let's use your podcast as an example. Okay. Yeah. I come on here and I say that I think somebody being able to depict based on a preference their physical gender, what they were born as, and what their anatomical structure depicts in a healthy manner is male or female. You can give a male a massive amount of estrogen, make them feminine, and it destroys their body and affects their brain in a very bad manner. You can give them a full-blown sex change, and then they have gender dysphoria. But gender dysphoria isn't politically correct. So the DSM-5 removed it as a mental illness, which means now the 70% suicide rate for post-op transgenders is now like an 85% suicide rate during gender dysphoria, which lasts for several years to indefinitely. It requires medication and it requires doctor checkups. Neither of those are paid for anymore because there's nothing wrong with having a sex change. It's not a mental illness anymore to have gender dysphoria, but we're politically correct. We're literally killing people. We're killing people to be politically correct. But aside from that, let's say I'm arguing against it.
Not be sued.
I'm arguing against it. And I say, hey, if you're born a male, you're male for life. If you want to be called a woman, I'll call you a woman. You want to go from Josh to
Jessica.
Jessica. I'll call you Jessica. If you want to go from he to she, I'll call you she. But you are still a male. Anatomically, you are a male. You need testosterone.
That's
not
a
estrogen.
radical position.
If you don't meet a certain amount of testosterone, your body begins to fail you. You can have a bunch of estrogen and still some testosterone, and your body will continue to succeed. But if you say, I will devoid myself of the testosterone a man needs and give myself the amount of estrogen a woman needs, you are mentally and physically harming your body in a permanent manner. This is true studies. This is not a radical opinion, and I'm xenophobic, which doesn't even work in this manner, but that's what people call you. I am not scared of transgender people. I do not have a phobia. I am not transphobic. They don't make me shake in my dreams at night as I have nightmares of them. Okay. So the words they use are just ridiculous to begin with. So let's use this example. This is my true opinion on this matter. Okay. Person watching me on YouTube. Does this offend you? Let's say yes for this example I'm making. Close the video. Forget about it. Go on with your life. That's all there is to it. I offend you. Close the YouTube video. Am I working at your job, constantly harassing you with the topic every single day? Am I your brother that just constantly harasses you with the topic every day? Am I a teacher at school you have to spend a minimum of 1 hour with every single? No, I am a person on YouTube who is making a conversation where I am talking with somebody of my own free will on a free to speak platform. YouTube, not really anymore at all, but let's assume you're using other stuff like Rumble. This is uploaded on Rumble. You can click the X button on this video and you never have to hear from me again. You never have to hear my opinion again. You can move on with your life as I am a person that lives somewhere in the millions of people in America, somewhere you will probably never go to, hundreds of millions of people in America where you will probably never see me, hear of me, think of me again for the rest of your life. The only power I have over you is the power you give me by being so offended with something so minusculely unimportant in any manner, way, shape, or form in your life to go, he said something I disagree with. I'm going to lose sleep tonight. I'm going to screenshot him saying this. I'm going to post this video on a platform. I'm going to have people headhunt. I'm going to do face recognition systems to figure out who Brian is. I'm going to find where he lives, and I'm going to threaten him for being xenophobic, for being homophobic, and saying something I disagree with. You are ruining your life to be bothered and give value to something that has no meaning, no value to you. If you feel strongly about something, we'll go back to my example with Buddha from earlier. If Buddha says, this is the way to live happily, and somebody comes across and goes, Buddha, you're a moron, man. That doesn't do anything. He goes, well, I'm sorry you say that. Have a good day. Next person comes by. This is the way that you will find happiness. This is how you reach enlightenment. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. I helped somebody. Still the same thing as if I didn't help somebody. I'm just trying to do this thing, and whether I do it or not, I'm happy. Third person comes along. Hey, this is how you reach enlightenment. Screw you, Buddha. Go kill yourself. You're horrible. Choke on a mic. I'm canceling you. I'm putting you on full blast. Okay, have a good day. That's how Buddha lived his life. That's how people live their lives. But nowadays, you see something you disagree with and you immediately give as much value to it as possible, right? You give it the maximum amount of value it can possibly have, to where you're losing sleep over something that has no importance or impact in your life. It has no value to your life. But everything everybody says ever now has to be maximum important. You have to count the amount of time somebody says something xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, racist. I don't even know what else there is out there, but I'm sure there's another 5 things that I missed. You have to give the maximum amount of volume and value to everything every single person says out there, as if it is a direct attack against you and your life. People came up to Jesus Christ, spat on him, and told him, God is not real. You're not the Son of God. He went, I am sorry you feel that way. I pray for you in your soul, and I hope that you change your mind in the future. I still love you. And he'd keep walking. How have we gotten so far from that we now tell people to choke on knives for stating an opinion when it has no relevancy to you? I am here to speak to you. I don't even really care who hears this conversation. I don't care if 0 people have it. I just want to have the conversation with you. That's the value I get out of this, is being able to speak to you. And if people get a lot of value out of me, then great. That's a benefit. But that's not the point of why I'm here. But then again, my intention of being on here is to be able to speak to you in a one-on-one and state these opinions. But let's say 100 radicals have an issue with things I say, and I ruin 100 people's days because I want to have a conversation with you, and you just decided to upload that conversation on the internet. Well, guess what? There's the dark web on the internet. Do we lose sleep every day that you can go into the dark web and just look at videos of people killing dogs and children? Well, we don't know about that. We just put them, well, I don't watch that, so it doesn't bother me. But I saw your video on YouTube, random person I'll never see again, so I will lose sleep over this one thing you said about genders. That is the core principle of everything wrong with today's movement of being woke, being politically correct, and cancel culture, is the amount of value we give to everything is so astronomically unnecessary that there's no way to do it properly. There's no way to live in a society where we value the randomness of every person's intentions and words this much that we can ever fix it. The only way to fix the problem and for people to chill out is to literally stop caring about what everybody else says. There's some racist person in Oklahoma that if I met one day would say some really horrible things to me. Am I ever going to think of this random person if I don't know them, if I don't know what they look like, if I don't know their name? No. It's the same thing as just seeing some random person on the internet do something and you wanting them to die. They're the same as a no name, no face person that you could meet that says something horrible. I just choose not to go there. I choose not to think about it. I choose to ignore it. Offended and offensive are pretty much antonyms to ignoring and ignorance. Ignorance is bliss for a reason. I'm just going to ignore that thing that you said and move on with my life and become a happy person. Or I'm going to be offended by the thing that you said and focus on it and be a very unhappy person. All the happiest people in the world were people who felt very strongly about something and basically ignored any opposition to it. Gandhi basically ignored a tank that was about to run him over to prove a point. What's a better example than just saying like, yeah, tank, run me over. Literally run me over. It proves my point. I dare you to prove that carrying it. Just, oh, this person's going to run me over with a tank, guys. Look, oh my gosh. No, that would completely ruin his point. Martin Luther King, people become racist and start saying horrible things when he's at a rally. Do you see this racism here? Do you see this race war? We need to kill all the white people. No, he didn't. And look how far he achieved. Look how far he went. We hated the way Britons did things. We didn't get upset when they did things. We continued the rebellion. They threatened us. We continue the rebellion. They try to hurt us. We continue the rebellion. They slander us. We continue the rebellion. We don't like that people want to continue having slaves in America. We ignore their opposition and we continue doing what we're doing. We don't go, oh no, we're offending them that, we want to stop slavery. Oh, they want to keep slaves. We're going to offend these people who want to keep slaves. Okay, guys, never mind. We can't do it. We don't care what you want. This is what we think is right and wrong. We're going to continue our life. They didn't write letters and send them to the people who own slaves. You're a horrible person. You own a slave. We're going to burn your house down if you don't get rid of your slave. They went to war and they fought for what they believed in. These people are not fighting for what they believe in. They're just putting you on blast and bullying you because you're opposing an opinion they have and it's offensive and they don't know how to ignore things. That's about as in the depth in this topic as I can get, because it sounds complicated, but it's about as simple as it can possibly be. Literally just ignore that thing that somebody says. And the entire issue that we're dealing with as like basically a pandemic in America would just be done in a heartbeat.
Well said. I think while it's simple, it's definitely not easy.
No, simple does not mean easy ever.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And
walking a tightrope is simple. Definitely not easy.
Just win a gold medal at the Olympics, the World Championships. Just do it. Just
set a Guinness World Record and you'll be in the book. It sounds simple enough.
3 words. Just do it. Nike built a platform, a monopoly effectively on 3 words. Just do it. But we can all just do it. It's hard work and it takes dedication and persistence and sacrifice. And it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to feel good. Why do feelings matter? They influence our decision making. They influence our priorities. But why? Say, yeah. Like, I mean, I feel offended. So
how imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. and his father stopped what they were doing because they offended a white person. You guys want to stop having different water fountains? That's gross. I don't want to get their germs. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. You know what? Let's keep everything separate. Let's have black and white water fountains in bathrooms. You're right. My bad. I'm upsetting this white person. Shoot. If you really believe you're on the side of justice, nobody's opinion should matter. If not a single person in the world agreed with you, but you truly believe in something, you don't need one person to back you up. You wouldn't need one person to stand on your side if you truly were willing to die for a cause. You don't get a standing ovation if you die jumping in front of a car to save somebody else's life, but you believe it's the right thing to do, so you do it. Would you only do it if you got a standing ovation and you didn't die? Then you're not willing to make the sacrifice. You're not doing
720,000 likes on Facebook or Instagram.
And you get a really inspirational
wait, hold on.
montage.
Someone has to record this because it has to be posted on TikTok.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to save this kid from getting hit by a car. Can you record it on the phone real quick? Oh, shoot. It's too dangerous now. All right, just let the kid die.
And it's already gone. I mean, like it happened 15 seconds ago. You only had 3 seconds to make the decision. You pulled out your phone. You used a Face ID and it's like didn't happen fast enough. Yeah. It really boils down to, is there anything in life that is worth living for? Is there anything that exists that's worth dying for?
Well, I think that's why depression and suicide rate is so high.
Because people are failing to see anything good. Doesn't mean there's nothing good. It means they're failing to see, failing to realize
essentially
anything good.
People are being stripped of their reasons to live. People are being stripped of their reasons to believe in anything, to do anything, to feel like they have any kind of impact or they can make any kind of change. Essentially, the social justice warriors are coming from the desire to make change and progress. If anything, they're trying to do the right thing, but they're just doing it so wrong because it's not really their dream. Their dream's been taken from them, stripped and destroyed. And then somebody on the internet goes, hey, you can live my dream. You can still be an important person if you do this thing. So go out and do this thing. Well, that's not really my dream. I don't like the way you guys are doing it. Well, if you don't do it our way, you're put on blast and you're part of the problem.
So,
okay, well, I guess I'll just do your dream for you then, or I'll just do this thing that somebody tells us is our dream and it isn't. What if you just woke up one day and your kids were being taught in school, hey, your dream, your reason for living, your life is to go work in a factory for minimum wage your entire life and live in a house with 7 other people because you can't.
And we're going to tell you what
better living in situations. And we'll tell you what minimum wage is. We'll tell you what your value is to us. We'll tell you what your importance is to us. That's your dream. That's what you want to do. Yep. Go do it.
That's
what's happening right now.
You come to work, you work 40 hours, you make the money that we tell you to make. We give you the money for food that we tell you that you need. We give you the money for entertainment that we tell you need. We give you the money for housing that we tell you need. Like, we set prices, we control your life. Like, you don't have any freedom. You don't have any potential to be anything better than everyone else next to you. It doesn't matter if you work harder. It doesn't matter if you work longer. You will get the same exact thing as everyone else around you, even if they show up and do absolutely nothing. Therefore, it creates an absolute disincentive to do anything that is different, to work harder than the person next to you. There's no hope. There's no dream of anything getting better. And then once the status quo is fully gone, you've given up all of your rights. What does free speech even mean anymore if you can't talk without someone being offended or being canceled? Like, you've already been shunned and outcast from society. No one's listening to you. And even if people might want to listen to you, the algorithms are keeping you silenced and keeping your voice from being heard regardless. And yeah, that we will tell you what is right for your life, and you can't. There's nothing you can do to stand in our way because we've taken away every single one of your fundamental rights that we do not give you, but we recognize already exist within you, and you can exercise. In essence, the core of why America has been, or was for so long, the best country in the world is specifically because of the opportunity, the recognized freedoms that exist for every single individual of humanity who does not actively take intentional action to take freedoms away from other individuals. The country was founded on the principle that lives matter and that people respect the lives and freedoms of everyone else. And therefore, this Constitution is inadequate. Thomas Jefferson, I can't remember exactly, wrote in a letter that our Constitution is written for a moral and religious people and is wholly inadequate for the governance of any other. If you are not principled, if you are not recognizing the rights and individual freedoms of everyone else, if you are actively trying to take them away, it can't work. Regardless of how right it might be or how good it might be or how good the outcomes could be, it can't work. Therefore, it's up to each individual to respect each other individual, and everyone can have freedom. While some tools might be used as a weapon of destruction or a weapon of protection, if everyone has the capacity, the skill, and the right to protect themselves, then hopefully there's no desire or there's a fear, there's some disincentive to victimize someone else.
You're speaking about the right to bear arms, right? Because it's not worth your life.
What?
You're speaking about the right to bear arms.
This one, I mean, there's so many rights in the Constitution. Right to have a jury of your peers, right to remain silent because anything you say could incriminate yourself, right to freedom of assembly, freedom of association, right to a free press. I mean, like there's so many fundamental rights, especially I heard it phrased also that the Second Amendment is there if the First Amendment doesn't work, or something like that. If someone comes to take away your fundamental rights and freedoms, you can and should stand up. If a government inherently becomes tyrannical, you can and should stand up because you know what is right. You are willing to fight, put your life on the line for what is right, and no one can take that away from you. And it is your government, a government for the people, by the people. If it's not, the people have a right, fundamental right, to take their government back. And even that is being challenged. It's no, you don't have any, like, how could you? It's tyranny to even attempt to overthrow the government or retake back the government if you feel that the government has become a cesspool of individuals who are bought and paid for by lobbyists. Well, it doesn't matter, because these are the worst of our society. You're the people who are standing up for their own and your personal freedoms and liberties and opportunity. They want the same opportunity for themselves as other people, and meritocracy to be what determines that. And for people to get along, choose to get along, and unite on what used to unite us, and focus on why we are worth, on the fundamental value of human life, which, I mean, that's even being attacked for the first 9 months of our existence. Like, are you even a human life at that point? And so I was
gonna say, you feel pain before the first month. So when people go, well, 3 months, well, 6 months, well, 2 weeks, you have a heartbeat. I believe it. What is it?
4 to 6 weeks. Yeah.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
Might be. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you feel pain and have a heartbeat by just short of a month.
Yeah.
So, well, what defines, or I don't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's even more than that. I think it's like you have a heartbeat by like a week and you feel pain by 2 weeks. So it's like, well, around the third week, and it's already a baby. What defines a human being? Well, individual thought. Babies don't have individual thoughts. So a baby that is 6 months
unconscious.
Yeah, so like 6 months old, someone who's unconscious, someone who's
in a vegetative state. Yeah, exactly. Like,
okay, so you can't use that example. That's a horrible example or point. So what do people usually say? Well, if they have a heartbeat, usually before you even find out. I don't want to be putting my foot in my mouth. So let me check this real quick. Yeah, just at about a month is when there's an official heartbeat that can be checked.
Yeah.
I think the pain, the sense of pain.
Is that 6 to 8 weeks?
Pain. This one's going to be hard to find because they don't want you to know this stuff.
Yeah.
Everything I have does not give me this answer.
Yeah.
They give me wrong answers. They're like, well, they can experience pains at 20 weeks. Well, 3 months. I can
experience pain tomorrow, or I may not. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. There's a person who has like very official everything on this manner that I use, and it's like college UCLA studies on everything. But let's just assume I'll overshoot it then, because I don't know for sure. 3 months in, you feel pain. 1 month in, maybe 1.5 months, if you take a while to develop, you have a heartbeat. So if it's pain, 3 months in. If it's a heartbeat, 1 month in. A lot of people find out they're pregnant a little bit over a month. Or close to a month, and they don't immediately get an abortion. So I think contraception's okay. I don't think birth control should be taken away necessarily, although I don't think birth control is particularly good. I think there's better ways of doing things right now. I know a lot of women who've been really messed up by their birth control, especially the arm implants they're pushing for so hard. I've never known a person who benefited from those. I know only 3 women who have had them, and all 3 of them were messed up by them. Their hormones were destroyed by the arm implants. But
my wife was angry and frustrated constantly when she had it in. She had it taken out. She's like, no, I'm fine. But but like
they go, oh well, regulates your period and does this and that, and it's like,
it's definitely a lot. I mean, better now that she's not on that particular type. Why are people so afraid to speak truth? People are afraid of truth,
means
and they're
wrong.
afraid of the people who speak truth, but they're not afraid of you. They're afraid of you having a platform and afraid of them being wrong, them losing power, them
the fear
being
of being
uncomfortable,
wrong is more important than the drive to do what's right.
Well, that's assuming that there's something that's right. And if everything is subjective truth, subjective morality, I determine what's right. You can't tell me I'm wrong. And actually, I can say that you're wrong because I've established what's right for society, and you're part of society. Therefore, you shouldn't be part of society because you tell me I'm wrong. And that's the problem with anything subjective, is understanding that you can live your life over there so long as it doesn't influence, so long as it doesn't impede my life or my child's life. You over there can live in your own bubble if you choose to. You have that choice, but you don't have the choice, the power, the freedoms, the right to force, literally or figuratively, anything down anyone else's throats. Any ideology, anything physical, like you do not have that right. That is not a right that you have. That is bullying. That is something that we used to unequivocally condemn, in that it is destructive. It is behaviors that are not tolerated, whether it be in adult life or child life or in professional life. We have completely shifted on its head, turned on its head, everything that we used to stand for. And when you stand for nothing, you don't stand. You sit down because you're told to sit down, shut up. And if you stand for nothing, you're never going to stand. And it's not even worth standing when you finally stand, because you'll just be pushed back down again.
Yeah, if you stand for nothing, there's nothing to stand for.
Yeah.
I was going to say, going into a less, subjective, intense version, or even like dystopian version of right and wrong. My point was, if a person in their heart is pro-choice, they go, I believe women can do anything they want. If women want to kill, and in California, women are having abortions at 7.5 months. Their child's 3 weeks from coming out. There's women who are having abortions a week before their child comes out.
7.5 months is more than 3 weeks, but yeah.
What?
7.5 months is 40 weeks, or 9 months is a full pregnancy. So 7.5 would be 7 or 8.
Okay,
weeks.
eight and
anyway,
a half months.
I just people
3 weeks from coming out. They're having it. The child will have a name.
Full term.
Will legally be a human being that will live the same style of life that you will live. Will have the same rights and liberties and opportunities and everything you had in 1 week, and you're aborting them. And there's men out there, there's women out there who go, I believe this is okay. Women should have this choice. Women should be able to do this. I stand. I will fight for this. Well, okay. In their heart, you say, well, when is it a human? When they feel pain. Okay. Well, when do you think babies feel pain? Once they're born and they're spanked, they start feeling pain. Okay. Babies feel pain, just highball it, 2 months in. They feel pain after 8 to 12 weeks. Well, when they have a heartbeat, they have a heartbeat by 8 to 12 weeks.
It doesn't come down to them, though.
Well, women should be able to do whatever they want. Well, you in your heart, you decided what the right thing is when a baby can feel pain, they no longer should be aborted. You soul searched. You said, when should a baby not be aborted? When do I believe it is now wrong to do so? Because they don't feel pain until they're born. No, they feel pain after 12 weeks. Well, when they have a heartbeat, they have a heartbeat by 8 weeks. I have defined what is right in my heart. Yeah. But to accept that I am wrong is harder than to do what is right and go, if that's true, then I take back what I said. I don't think women should be able to have abortions up to 8.5 months. I think it should be 2 months, a month and a half.
Or an hour before delivery, or after it's come out, then you can decide you keep it comfortable.
I don't even want to get into the post-birth abortion.
Yeah.
That's a 2-hour conversation on its own, man.
The reality is it's not about the fact it's another life. That might be how they justify it. Well, it's not another life, but ultimately I wouldn't be comfortable with it. I don't want to go through the pain. I don't have enough money to, I'm not willing to change my lifestyle. It wasn't when I expected it to happen. It wasn't the sex of the baby that I wanted. Like, if it's the baby's not the problem. Like, it's the fact that they
always use what if the baby is a problem to the woman? And 3% of abortions had in the last 2 years are due to health related issues. So 3% of the total amount of abortions even being had right now are due to health issues. 97% of the time, 97 out of 100 times a baby is killed, it has nothing to do with health concerns.
I'm not even going as far to say that in every instance the woman is to blame. Institutions, culture, the fact that people have been convinced that it's not a life. It's just a tumor. It's just a clump of cells. It's just part of the natural process. It's part of your body. It's not alive yet. Like, the amount of just lies and deception and lack of access to information and ultrasounds. I mean, for our child, we went in and they gave a 3D representation of what he looked like. Pre-birth, we knew facial features. In 3D model, you could not only see it in a graphic, but print it off. This is what he looks like. Not is going to look like. This is what he looks like. And it's not just ultrasound like, oh, okay, you kind of see an outline or a shape here, or it's dark over here. No, it is a face. You are looking at a face of a human being saying that you do not deserve life because I don't want you, or because I'm not ready for you, or because I don't think you're alive, which, I mean, may even be them lying to themselves out of some kind of fear or something else, because they're so uncomfortable with even the thought of their life changing, or being judged by their peers, or being an outcast in society, or being disowned by their parents or community or religious institution, or now losing all their friendships and having to go through, say, high school, with a child, and we don't have systems set up for that. I'm not blaming the women who are legitimately suffering in these instances. They suffer regardless of what they choose. If they choose an abortion or not, they are suffering. And that is the reality of the situation. Therefore, how can we support them? How can we help them? How can we help them learn? How can we help facilitate a better environment for them and the child? How can we give them an opportunity that they don't believe exists? How can we support them? And that's often the argument made is like, well, people who force women to carry to term aren't for taking care of the child after it's already here. It's like, no, that's absolutely not it at all. We
have so many programs for helping children be raised at a young age.
50% of children in Oregon specifically are currently receiving active benefits through public insurance. 50%. And the only reason they would be denied, unless it's 3 times the income of the poverty level, is if they already have active insurance on another plan. So it's not that only 50% of children are covered. It's that 50% of children in the current social safety net are already, just by existence, covered. And if those fears are there, like, no amount of logic is going to change their mind. We need to address it in an emotional way, support them, encourage them, make them feel supported and encouraged, and that it's a safe environment. And if it's your own child that is debating this and they don't even feel comfortable that they can talk to you because of some perception or fear that you're going to judge them or disown them, I mean, shame on you, because even if it's right or wrong, they are your child, and they have gotten to this point because of something that you have said or done in the past, or it might be a habit in that they don't feel safe or comfortable talking to you or anyone about this matter, and why. And so it's like, we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to be critical of ourselves, and we need to be open to a better path forward. We need to get to the point where each person feels supported, feels encouraged, feels confident that they are making the right choice, and not second guessing themselves because they know that this is what they need to do, because they are informed, because they are educated, because they are surrounded with a network of people who support them regardless of what decision they make, and that it doesn't stop after their decision, in that this is a lifestyle, this is a foundation, this is a bedrock, a solid place for them to come to know what is right or wrong, to know how you will react or respond. And like, I'm speaking to myself here as a parent, and all parents need to suck it up. it's not about you anymore. And that's what people don't want to hear. People don't want to hear it's not about you anymore. You have responsibilities. You might have responsibilities to a spouse because of a commitment you made. You might have responsibilities to a child because that life is there regardless of if you're ready for it or not. And exactly. I always thought it was 9 months. It's not 9 months. It is usually when you find out you're about 7.5 or 8 months and you're like, oh man, or less. And you're like, okay, I got to kick it into gear. I have to mature. I have to get a job. I have to find some way to support this, to create a good, healthy foundation. That's a good thing that your life is now being forced to change into someone who cares more about other people and meeting responsibilities to foster a healthy environment for someone else than putting yourself over everything else in your life. Like, it's good to take care of yourself, but if you are forsaking life and making excuses in that other lives are less important than yours, why? If you ask them, would their life be any more or less important than yours? I mean, regardless, life is important. Once life is taken, you cannot give life back. The weight and gravity on this situation alone is lives are at stake. Hundreds of thousands of lives, and the attention is on something that's tens or hundreds in the gun debate. Regardless of what it is, so many more lives are lost that we cannot ever get back because of a lack of awareness, a lack of humility, a lack of dedication to sacrifice and meeting responsibility and maturity. Grow up. No one wants to hear grow up, but sometimes people need to hear grow up, suck it up. Now you have to take care of someone other than yourself. And that's a good thing, regardless of how you might feel about it in the moment, because your feelings were changed. And one of the biggest things that's said from mothers even considered aborting after they have a child is like, I regret even having thought it. How could I ever desire to have ended the life of this precious being?
Once a woman has had an abortion and then has a child thereafter, they are plagued by the thought that would have been a child of mine forever. And they never forgive themselves. It's like, I think in a questionnaire, like 97% of women that have had abortions regret it after having a child.
It's astronomically high. Yeah.
Never forgive themselves for the rest of their lives every day. Every time they look at their kid, I could have had another one. I could have had, a second little poop head running around.
Yeah. If miscarriages are terrible and create such emotional distress and hormone imbalances and depression, well, that is an accidental loss, something out of your control. An abortion is something fully within your control. In most instances, vast majority is fully within your control of choosing to end the life of another human being that is helpless, that is innocent, that is relying on you to do what is best for them. And you start that relationship by saying, you don't deserve to exist because I'm not ready for you, because I don't want you, because I'm not willing to change my life, or because I'm afraid.
I have one is, if the people who had you felt the same way and did the same thing, you wouldn't be born. So what if your parent, it doesn't work, but just think about it. If every woman thought, well, I don't want it. I don't, what if this, what if that, what if that? Think of all the lives in the world that wouldn't exist. You go back 200 years before abortions were being done, right? I mean, there was always kind of the really gross makeshift ways that were really harmful to women that were kind of being done in the past. But before it was safe, and massive majorities of women were not doing it, life would not be where it is today. We would not exist. Society would not have sustained itself if women were just killing off the babies when they didn't feel like having them. So it's ridiculous to think we can now move forward into a new society where that's going to be okay, and we'll continue prospering if we do that, because life has to persevere against all odds, and choosing to not persevere because you don't like it is about as regressive to everything people have done up till now for society to continue. Second point is, women feel like their lives are over when they're having a child, as if the child has no value, and they feel like all the things they want to do are not capable of being done. But people don't feel, but right now we're at the point where the least amount of inspiration exists in America in 100 years. The least amount of people feel like they have a purpose, like they have a passion, like they have a dream, like they have something to achieve and strive for. But yet now, when we don't have anything to fight for, anything to strive for, is when we want to kill the children because we have dreams and we have things to strive for, and the children are going to ruin our lives.
Because we don't want to subject them to this
backwards.
System, this institution.
Backwards. It's so massively backwards. seconds. It's insane. I'd love to keep talking. I could go another several hours, but I actually genuinely have a migraine right now. I've been trying to fight it. My neck's really messed up.
Oh yeah.
But I cannot continue anymore. I'm about ready to die. So I gotta end it here.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Brian. And I know there are some people that might be turned off by this episode, and there's some people that might be rejuvenated and find a new motivation through this episode. And I know that there might be a lot of people that are just really struggling or wrestling to even act on anything that they may have heard that they want to, but they might be afraid to. We encourage conversation. Find someone who you trust, talk with them, find someone. I mean, even if you have nothing but the comment section, we're here. We respond to as many comments as we can, and we want people to grow and learn and be better tomorrow than they are today, and to aspire to be something more than themselves. And so thank you so much, Brian, for being here. Do you want to leave them off with one word of advice or encouragement, or, as I've heard, dad advice? Not saying that you're a dad, but just like just the
I was gonna say I can give you a lame joke
that works. All right, what's a lame joke?
I heard the police got called on Steve Harvey yesterday. He was having a family feud. But no, on a serious note, if anything in this video offended you, take heed what I made the point of earlier and what I said. You don't have to agree with anything people say. You don't have to listen to this if you don't like it. And if I said something at any point in this video you disagree with, or at any point in free to speak, something is said that's an issue, know that in a first world country, one of the greatest liberties we have in America through the Constitution, me to have the ability to say something you don't like is just as equal as for you to have the ability to disagree with it and ignore it and continue on with your life, and it not to have an impact on you. In China, you are not allowed to ignore the things that people say. You are not allowed to ignore the propaganda. We have the ability, the freedom, the liberty in America to say, I disagree with you, and move on with our lives and not have repercussions for that. You should use that liberty that almost no one else, not even Britain, really has that liberty anymore in the world. Even first world countries are losing it. We are slowly losing it. It is one of the greatest things we have in this world, is the ability to disagree with something at no consequences and move on with our lives and forget that it happened. It is one of the most important practices that we're losing. And I would greatly stress that when you are frustrated by something, or you're annoyed and you are bothered by something someone else is doing that is not relevant to you, to exercise this right, because it is honestly, in my opinion, the third greatest thing we have in America is the right to do that.
And this podcast is strictly named for a purpose. Like, it's the Free to Speak and Think podcast. We don't want you being told how to think. We don't want you being told what to think. We don't want to shut you down. We don't want to cancel you. We want to encourage you to explore and learn and grow and find your own way. And we might have some value that we believe we could offer you, but ultimately it's your choice. It's your choice what you think. It's your choice what you say, and it's your choice who you choose to believe or listen to. And that's the power of the freedoms that we have here, that are recognized here, in that you don't have to groupthink. You don't have to be a monolith. You don't have to conform. You don't have to. As much as you might be afraid not to, as much as you might fear the kickback or the consequences, you don't have to. There are many other outlets. There are many other options, and people have been doing it for hundreds of years, and it will continue to work so long as people use it for the purpose of why it exists. So anyway, thank you so much, Brian, for being here. It truly is a Free to Speak and Think podcast. You can think on your own. You can speak what you choose to speak. I may or may not agree with all of it or none of it. And that's not the point. The point is to share value that you believe is valuable. Share something, share thoughts, share words that you believe are valuable for other people, or that other people could find value in. And then the responsibility is up to the listener to find value in it, to extract value from it, and to really make something of themselves, their own life, and to find a confidence in what you, as the viewer, what you believe and why, and what you stand for and why, and then to be steadfast in that so that you won't be just going with the flow, shifting with the fads of culture, in that you will be steadfast, you will be grounded, you will be able to act confidently and know that you are right in what you're doing. And it's just as okay to be proven wrong. And I have come to understand that. No one likes to be wrong, but you can take that opportunity, that experience of being wrong, and become better for it. No one is always right. No one is always right. If you're always right, you're not human. Like,
or you're a narcissist.
True. And so we already recorded a podcast that talked about imperfection, like being perfectly imperfect. You are not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be right all the time. We're supposed to live in social relationships. We're supposed to grow and learn over time. You aren't born with everything you need to know already, all the skills you need to have for life already. You have to learn, you have to develop, you have to grow, you have to gain them, and you have to practice them. And so the most important thing is you taking hold of your own life and understanding the motivations of why you say certain things, why you value or prioritize emotions or truth or logic over other things. So much more is just knowing why, because once you know why, you can do something about it and you can act confidently, and you can look for opportunities within that scope of what can I do, knowing that this is reality. I may not, I may like it, I may not like it, but knowing that this is reality, what can I do now moving forward to make my life better and to make the life better of people around me, in my family, in my community, in my culture, in my church, in my synagogue, and regardless of what it is, that you have the power and the capacity with everything you already have. You can change yourself and you can change the world. And I think that's a really good spot to end it. So thank you so much, Brian, for being here. You were already here once, you're here again, and I'm sure you'll be back again, because I mean, there's so much to talk about, and I love your I love your perspective on things at the very least. And so thanks for being here, and listeners, thanks for being here as well. Like, comment, subscribe, be part of the discussion. I'd like to know if you guys like the content, and if you want to be involved. Even in making a podcast, I'm still looking for people to have on. I'll always be looking for people to have on. And so anyway, thanks for giving us the opportunity, YouTube, until you choose to censor us. But regardless, anyway, thank you so much, listeners, and subscribing is free, and you can support us if you'd like, but I'm not asking for that, because the point is to
have free will.
The point is for each individual to make their own lives better, so they can make others' lives better as well through adding value that you've gained from wherever you choose to gain it from. So we hope to be one source where you gain value from, and we'd like to see you back again next week. And thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
As it is such unto me, so it is such unto you.
It's probably fine.
It's probably fine.
Was that 3 hours? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah,
Am I gonna have to break that up into like 2 or 3 episodes? You know how you have those feelings of like, I just said that. Do I really want to post that publicly? And it's like, well, yeah, no, it needs to be said. Hold on, wait. Like, you have that whole like internal battle and dialogue. It's like, should I shut him up? No, absolutely not. This needs to be heard and said. I need to hear this. I don't want to stop him. Just keep going. But then you're like, oh, but I want to say something. Oh, but I can't. So I tried to write down a bunch of things. And you tried to write down a bunch of things. We didn't come back to things. And you said you had 3 things. And you only did 2 things. It's like, there's just so much to cover there. I appreciate that I don't have to talk all the time. I can do a lot of talking, but so can you, and I value that, and I appreciate that, and I don't want to do all the talking. I'm in every single episode. If I'm gonna run out of things to talk about, as my wife knows. I just didn't want to keep interrupting you, and if I did like 1, 2, or 3 times, it was like I didn't want to start something and then have something not be heard, or then just completely be silent, because I didn't want to interrupt thoughts, and you handled it better than I did, other than I would just try to go in and then completely back off instead of asserting, wait, hold on, let me stop you there. You can continue continue in just a minute. So I need to be better about interjecting, but I also need to be better about withholding.
Hold that thought real quick and then making a point.
Yeah.
Before I start running onto a new topic, you make a notion, you raise your hand, you do a hand gesture or something.
And that's what I benefit from other people doing that, but I don't do that.
Yeah, so I would raise my hand, but
to do that. So I mean, it's like, yeah, and I did see your hand a couple times.
I have really good on air demeanor, but I'm actually dying inside right now. I just don't want to show it on the camera. It's from how dizzy I am from the migraine, but you're good.